The air in the rose garden was thick with the sweet scent of blooms, a quiet corner of Eden tucked inside the manicured sprawl of Willow Creek's condo complex. I sat on a weathered bench, my hands trembling faintly, the first whispers of anxiety creeping in like an Yunin vy TED guest. My golden retriever, Jasper, lay at my feet, his warm brown eyes locking onto mine with a steady, knowing calm. At 4 years old, he was more than a doe was my lifeline, trained to pull me back from the edge of panic attacks that could swallow me whole. His soft muzzle nudged my palm, and I clung to that touch like a drowning woman grabbing a rope. This garden was my refuge, a place where the hum of bees and the perfume of roses like Peace and Queen Elizabeth could smooth the jagged edges of my nerves after grueling weeks at the office, where legal briefs and courtroom battles were my daily grind. But Peace was fragile here. He shouldn't be here, you know. It's against the rules. The voice cut through the stillness, sharp and sour, like a knife through silk. I knew it instantly, Mrs. Clara Winston, the self-proclaimed enforcer of Willow Creek's endless, contradictory bylaws. She stood a few feet away, arms crossed over her frail frame, her silver hair sprayed into a rigid helmet, her eyes blazing with disgust at Jasper. To her, he was a blight on her pristine roses, a walking insult to her VY shown of order. I took a slow breath, channeling Jasper's zen-like calm, a trick I'd been working on for years in therapy. "Good morning, Mrs. Winston," I said, my voice thinner than I wanted. Jasper's a certified therapy dog, as you know. He's leashed, well-behaved, and we're just enjoying the garden. Jasper, as if he sensed the tension, let out a soft sigh and rested his head on his paws, the picture of innocence. But Clara wasn't ha-VYing it. "Therapy dog or not," she snapped, her gaze raking over my slightly wrinkled blouse. "This is a garden, not a dog park." He's lowering the tone, trampling the roses, shedding everywhere. I bit back a retort. "He hasn't trampled anything, Mrs. Winston. He's lying right here. The bylaws don't ban leash therapy dogs from common areas. As long as they're not disruptive, and I always clean up after him." I knew those rules inside out. My job demanded it. Though she had no clue who I really was, a senior attorney specializing in animal welfare law, someone who lived and breathed regulations like the Fair Housing Act. Clara's eyes narrowed. "There's a spirit to the rules, young lady. Some of us are allergic. Some of us are scared of dogs, no matter your so-called certifications." She air-quoted certifications like it was a scam. My chest tightened, the familiar VYSE of anxiety clamping down. This was the kind of confrontation my therapist had warned me about, the kind that could spiral me into a full-blown panic attack. "Jasper's trained to be calm in public," I said, forcing confidence I didn't feel. "He's here to help me. That's his purpose." Clara scoffed. "Your purpose shouldn't ruin everyone else's peace. That dog's a menace near my prize roses." That was the spark. I felt it in my gut, a sick certainty that this petty grudge was about to explode into something uglier. My life was a tightly controlled routine to manage the anxiety that had haunted me since a traumatic incident years ago, one that left me scarred and always on edge. Jasper was the heart of that routine, a steady anchor in a world that often felt like it was spinning out of control. But Clara made it her mission to torment us. Over the next few weeks, she was everywhere, peering from her window with her phone camera, accosting me in the elevator about Jasper sniffing a lamppost too long, even slipping anonymous notes under my door about animal odors. The condo manager, Mr. Thompson, started calling with polite reminders about pet rules, his voice heavy with the weight of Clara's complaints. Another resident felt uneasy about Jasper's size near the gazebo. He'd say, "Was he off-leash? Barking?" I'd ask, exasperated. "No, just his presence," he'd mumble. The pressure was relentless, chipping away at my defenses. Jasper, though, was a saint, never barking, always by my side, beloved by kids who'd beg to pet him, their faces lighting up at his gentle tail wag. He was a gift, not just to me, but to anyone who met him. One morning, I was on a work call, Jasper at my feet, when my neighbor, Mrs. Larson, overheard me mention the Fair Housing Act and emotional support animals. Later, she smiled. You know a lot about animal law, Emily. That's impressive. I brushed it off. My home was my sanctuary, separate from the brutal realities of my job. Then came the breaking point. It was a crisp Saturday, and Jasper and I were returning from a walk in the county park. As we neared Willow Creek's entrance, Clara was there with two of her HOA cronies, her eyes locking onto Jasper like a hawk spotting prey. "There he is again," she declared, loud enough for the whole lawn to hear, where residents sipped coffee and read papers. "A menace. He nearly tripped me by the mailbox yesterday." It was a lie, and she knew it. Jasper never left my side. "That's not true, Mrs. Winston," I said, my heart pounding. "You know it's not." The crowd turned, curious, concerned. Clara's voice dripped with fake outrage. "Are you calling me a liar? That dog lunged at Mrs. Larson's poodle last week. Poor thing was terrified." Mrs. Larson, who was on the lawn, looked up baffled. "Clara, what are you talking about?" "Jasper and my Fifi play all the time. She loves him." Clara's face reddened, but she doubled down, pulling out her phone. "He digs into flower beds. I have proof." The lies, the public shaming it was too much. My VY sound blurred, my chest crushed by a suffocating weight. I gasped, stumbling back. "Jasper," I whispered. He pressed against my leg, nudging my hand, licking my fingers, leaning his weight to ground me. But Clara's voice cut through, VY sighs and triumphant. "Look at her. Hysterical. She's unstable. And that dog's a danger. The HOA needs to act before someone gets hurt." Her words were a blade, twisting my medical condition into a weapon. Residents stared, some pitying, some nodding with her. I felt naked, humiliated, alone except for Jasper. With his help, I staggered back to my apartment, Clara's cruel words echoing. 2 days later, a registered letter arrived, heavy with dread. It summoned me to an HOA hearing to re-VYEW, pet compliance, and resident safety concerns regarding Jasper. Clara, now the HOA secretary, had listed her lies, aggression, property damage, and my unstable emotional state, making me an unfit owner. She wasn't just a busybody anymore, she had power, and she was wielding it like a club. Despair hit hard. I considered MOVYing, anything to escape. But then I looked at Jasper, his trusting eyes, his unwavering loyalty. He'd saved me countless times. I couldn't let Clara destroy him. This wasn't just about it was about her abuse of power, her ignorance of therapy animal rights, issues I'd fought for my entire career. The night of the hearing, I wore my sharpest suit, charcoal gray, exuding authority. Jasper, in his therapy vest, walked beside me. The clubhouse felt like a courtroom, with Clara smirking at the head table, Mr. Thompson avoiding my gaze, and a dozen residents watching like jurors. Clara opened with a theatrical flourish, repeating her lies about Jasper's aggression and my instability, while VYing a folder of EVY Denke blurry photos, a notarized statement from her friend claiming Jasper barked at her cat. It was flimsy, but her con VY tie-in swayed some. When she finished, Mr. Thompson cleared his throat. "Ms. Carter, do you have anything to say?" I stood, Jasper rising with me, and let the silence hang. Then I spoke, my voice steady, commanding. "Yes, I do. My name is Emily Carter, and for 12 years, I've been lead counsel for the National Office of Animal Rights and Welfare, a leading nonprofit shaping federal and state laws on animal welfare, including the rights of therapy animals under the Fair Housing Act." The room froze. Clara's smirk vanished, her face paling as the truth hit. The board sat up, eyes wide. I continued, ice in my voice. "Mrs. Winston's allegations are false and part of a malicious campaign of harassment. Jasper is a certified therapy dog, medically necessary for my PTSD and panic disorder, protected by law." I slammed a binder on the table. Jasper certifications, vet records, AFIDA VYTS from residents like Mrs. Larson, and VY Deos Pro VY Ing. He was calm when Clara claimed otherwise. Her EVY Denke was exposed as staged or irrelevant. Then I turned on her. Using my disability to justify discrimination is unethical and illegal. It suggests a willful disregard for fair housing laws. I laid out the HOA's liability lawsuits, defines federal investigations. The room buzzed with shock. Clara shrank, silent. A resident stood. Mrs. Winston's been bullying us for years. She tried to ban my kid's basketball hoop. Another chimed in about a patio umbrella dispute. Clara's reign was crumbling. She tried one last desperate move, while VYing a USB drive with new VY Deo of Jasper's aggression. I cut her off. I request that be sent to a forensic analyst. My organization deals with falsified VY Deos. And false accusations against me? That's defamation, Mrs. Winston. She collapsed into her chair, defeated. The board adjourned, returning grim but resolute. Mr. Thompson announced, all complaints against Ms. Carter and Jasper are dismissed. Mrs. Winston is to resign immediately, pending a re-VYEW of her conduct. Ms. Carter, we'd be grateful if your organization could train us on fair housing laws. Clara resigned the next day, sold her condo, and vanished. Willow Creek transformed new pet policies, dog-friendly areas, and a culture of empathy. My organization used the case to launch a statewide campaign, cutting complaints and spreading awareness. Jasper became a local hero, and the Rose Garden was my sanctuary again, a hard-won peace forged in justice. But this fight wasn't just mine. How many others face bullies like Clara, weaponizing rules against the vulnerable? Should HOAs have unchecked power over therapy animals? Is public shaming a fair tactic to expose abusers? Or does it go too far? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button, and subscribe to join the conversation. Let's keep fighting for what's right.